What is going on, YouTube? Got a good one today, or a newer one. I got a 2020 Harley Davidson Road Glide Limited. So let's take a look. I've already taken the bags off, and you're gonna need to take off the the right side cover if you're doing your back wheel. But we're gonna be doing both wheels on this thing, so let's get started. First thing we're going to do is, since you can't access the axle nut right away, is we're going to take off the bottom bolts on both shock bolts. So first thing to do is make sure the wheel is just on the ground. Like that. Take a 19 millimeter. Move it out the way. Do the same for the other side. Next, we're going to take an 8 millimeter Allen or a 5/16 Allen. We're going to take our caliper bolts off. Next, we're going to take a flathead. We're going to take the safety clip off of your axle. Get it under there, pop it out. There's another clip you're going to want to take off if you got ABS. There's a little clip for your sensor wire that clips your sensor wire to your brake hose. Since we got both the shocks loose, we're going to lower the bike. Until we get to the axle nut. Grab a 36 millimeter socket. Put it on there. Crack her loose. Take a nut, get our washer off. There's our nut and washer. Tap our axle through, not all the way, just about flush, because you don't want to hit the other pipe or something. What I like to do is take like a Crown Royal bag, take your caliper off. Slip this in here. Gently set it down. Alright, now see our axle sticking out. We're going to take a 1/2 inch. We're going to loosen it, take these bolts off our hanger. Kind of push the exhaust down a little bit. And we're going to need to raise the bike up to where your axle is going to clear the bottom support, saddlebag support. All I usually do is take a towel or something, put it over the exhaust to keep from scratching it. You might have to hold the exhaust down just a little bit to pull out your axle. There we go. There we go. Take our spacer out this side. Take our belt off the pulley. Alright. Now what I like to do is lift up the swing arm, put this bolt just in by hand. Go. Take our brake caliper bracket. It's on a ledge right here, and this slot goes into the ledge. The ledge goes into the slot. Leave your ABS sensor hanging there, or if you got a spacer, take that out as well. You don't have to jack it all the way up. Get it out. Now we're going to kick the bottom out away from you. Or away from me anyways. There we go. Take our drive hub off. Check your bearing. We're good. Take out and check your rubber isolators. We're good. Time for the front. Now on the front, you got axle caps. Take them off first. We're going to take a 24 millimeter. Get this axle nut off. This will be a nut and a washer. We're going to take a 10 millimeter 12 point. 10 millimeters 12 point only for your brake caliper. Before you take this last bolt out, hold this caliper with the brake hose or something. Get it out, because it might drop and you ding your fender. Now this guy's got LEDs, so you might have to cut one of the zip ties so it doesn't pull on the wires. Drop it down towards the bottom of the fender, spread the pads open, and kind of roll it out. That. And just like the back, take a Crown Royal bag, slip it on over. There you go. On this side, we got the axle clamp bolt, pinch bolt, 6 millimeter Allen. Just gotta loosen that up. You don't have to take it out. We're going to take our axle out. Grab a rubber mallet. Support your wheel. There you go. Draw your wheel out. If you don't clear the fender, you can swoop it out under like that. Alright, I'm going to go change tires, come back, show you how to put everything back together. Alright guys, I went ahead and changed tires already, and I went also and cleaned and lubricated our axles, both of them, and also all of our spacers to you know, keep everything clean, and also clean the surfaces of the bearings to help keep dirt and grime away from the bearings to help prolong their life a little bit. So, first thing we're going to do is, let's see, take our spacer, the grooves go outward, stick this one up. I'm going to do this side first, lift it up, kind of sandwich it between the fork and the wheel, stab our axle in. Grab our sensor, or if you don't have ABS, your other spacer. Get that in between the fork and the bearing, lift it up, finish stabbing your axle in. Now we're going to take our drop, obviously, got to drop something. Take our axle nut and washer, get that on, get that started. On the other side of the axle, you'll see there's a hole drilled in it this way. You're going to want to take a screwdriver or something, and you want that hole parallel to the ground. There's two reasons for that. One, if you have axle caps, you want your set screws on the bottom. This way, if the hole's at the bottom, you want something to clamp to. You can't clamp to a hole. And then also, two, I hear rumors that it will cause a whistling sound. If you don't have axle caps, it'll cause a whistling sound. Now, before we also another thing before we tighten up the axle is if you got ABS, is you want to take the sensor and turn it clockwise until it stops. All right, because if it's down too far, you won't have enough slack in your cable, or it could put unwanted tension on it. So tighten, twist that until it stops. Get our axle lined up. We're going to torque it down to 65 foot-pounds. And also use the screwdriver to, another reason you're using the screwdriver is to keep the axle from spinning when you torque it down. There we go. Take our brake caliper out of the bag or rag or whatever you got it. Check our brake pads, looking pretty good. Now again, at the bottom of the fender, roll it on, slide it up. Now, again, if you got ABS, you're going to have this little retainer, cable retainer. It'll only go one way. Let's get our bolt started. Always start your hardware by hand. Now we're going to torque it down. We're going to torque it down to 36 foot-pounds. Or 35 is about the 35, 36 is about the middle. There you go. Now we're going to take our 6mm Allen again. We're going to tighten down our pinch bolt. We're going to tighten it down to 20 foot-pounds. There we go. Next thing you do is spin your wheel. Make sure it spins clearly, freely. Pump your brakes up. Your brake pads will rub slightly, but it should spin pretty freely. Let's go do the back. Something I forgot to mention with the front wheel, make sure your tire is going in the correct rotation. With the front, if you got ABS, you can tell with the sensor. If not, it's a good idea to mark your one of the rotors, the direction when you take it off. But I already checked this good. Rear is easier because you only got one rotor, so make sure you go in the correct rotation. Arrows down here, which we are. Our rubber isolator, that's wrong. Come on. There we go. There we go. Stick our drive hub back in. Make sure that's flush. We'll put the wheel in the same way we took it out. Down the rear, we're going to put our belt on. And then I forgot, I got to go loosen up the bolt on this one. This way I can move the swing arm. Now, just like the front, I cleaned and lubricated my axle, cleaned my spacer. Just get a spacer in right there. Of course. Gotta drop that. Round 2. Put that in there. Put our axle in. Started. There we go. Flex my exhaust down just a little bit. Now you only need the axle to go past your support here. On this side, we're going to lower the bike some. Now you don't want your axle poking out just yet. We're going to take our caliper support or bracket. This slot needs to go over this ledge. Pretty easy. If you got a spacer or if you got ABS, you want to put that between the wheel and the caliper bracket. Sometimes you got to wiggle the wheel around, find that sweet spot. Popped in pretty easy. Then we'll take our caliper, slide it out the bag, check our brake pads, looking pretty good. Now we're just gonna set this over the caliper with the rotor for now. We're gonna get our axle through. Now we're going to take our adjustment washer or cam washer. It's got a D slot in it. We can see the witness mark from the nut. We're going to get that put on. And then take our nut, get that started. Lower the bike down just a little bit more. Now we're going to take our 36mm socket. We're going to torque it to 20 foot-pounds. 15-20 foot-pounds ought to be good. Now this isn't final torque. Okay. What this does is it puts a little pressure on the axle so it doesn't spin freely. So when now you can make your adjustment. Oh, before you do that first torque, make sure your ABS sensor is counterclockwise up against the caliper bracket, like the other sensor in the front. Then what I'm going to do is raise the bike, put this bottom shock on if I can. Get that started. Now with the wheel off the ground, we can make our belt adjustment. We're going to turn it clockwise. And what happens is, this cam washer is going to push off this lug, pushing the wheel back, and it's going to turn the other washer as well, and it's going to pull the wheel back square, evenly on both sides, and also put tension on your belt. Now we got a little tension on our belt. What we're going to do is spin the wheel a few revolutions. That does is it kind of, because it could be tight out on the top or the bottom, you're equalizing the slack in the belt. And then you'll see in your belt guard down here, I can't really see it, there's a window or slot cut into the bottom belt guard. That's where you want to check your tension. A little on the tight side. So, back off a little bit. Now there's a special tool you can check for belt tension. I've been doing this long enough that I can tell by feel. That feels pretty good. I'm going to lower the bike back down, take the bolt out of the shock. Get it back out of the way. Lower the bike back down. And we're going to do a final torque. What you want to do is you're going to have a wrench or another big socket, but on the other side you're going to have to use a wrench or something to hold the axle from spinning as you tighten this. Kind of like the front, you use the screwdriver. But I'm going to torque this down to 100 foot-pounds. Now that that's torqued down, put our safety clip on. Then we'll take our cable retaining clip. What I like to do is put it up against, the crimp on the brake hose. Now we take our brake caliper hardware, get it started by hand. Now we're going to torque these to 45 foot-pounds. Now, I've noticed with these newer bikes, when they got the two different size looking shocks or struts, it's best to put the other side on first, because it's like one's just slightly longer than the other. Now make sure you start this by hand, because I have almost cross-threaded it once. With all this pressure putting on it, if you don't have it lined up square, that bolt can be cocked just a little bit, and then it could just, yeah. I got lucky, and so zip it down. We're going to torque it to 65. I like to torque the top one, so you know, moving this around in probably won't loosen it up, but it's good to be safe than sorry. You're here with it. Yeah, that one's still torqued. Put our hanger back on for our exhaust. There we go. Now let's put this strut on. There we go. Pump our brakes up. Get the wheel off the ground, make sure it spins freely. Now we got our clips on. These are torqued, pumped up. These are torqued on both sides. I'll double check your belt before you're done. And exhaust, good. Put your covers and saddlebags back on. There you go, guys. A 2020 Harley Davidson Road Glide Limited. Showed you how to take both wheels off and on. There's one thing I wanted to say. I did zip tie those LED wires back up. Try not to zip tie around your ABS sensors cables. That's why they have the special clips, because if you zip tie those too tight, you could damage them. They're a fragile cable. So anyways, you know, take it out for a spin, make sure everything's good. And if you have any questions, you know, or comments or whatever, comment down below. Please give me a big old like to help grow this channel. I'm really trying to come out with more content, but man, it's getting busy. And also make sure you subscribe for more and check out my other videos. All right, adios.